Joe Russo answers those lingering Avengers Endgame questions. Avengers Endgame has been out for about a week and it's already made around $1.5 billion worldwide. So suffice it to say, many people have seen it, and now co-director Joe Russo is addressing some of the film's biggest unanswered questions, which left fans scratching their heads. Now, before we go any further, if you are one of the few people who haven't seen Endgame, you might want to come back after you've watched the movie, because obviously, spoilers. So, after Marvel's epic 3-hour conclusion, fans still want answers. What's up with the Endgame timeline? How did that Captain America and Peggy situation work? Did they live their life in a separate timeline? Did all of Spider-Man's classmates really get snapped too? And where was Rachel McAdams during the battle? Don't you think they could have used a field medic? Just kidding about that last one. But as far as the other questions, you're in luck, Marvel fans. One half of the Russo duo, Joe, has now provided some new info in an interview posted to the Chinese social networking site QQ. Now, we should mention that before we get going, due to this being printed in Chinese, some things might have gotten lost in translation, and while the interview seems legit, there is a chance that all of this could be BS. But if not, it provides some very interesting insight into Endgame. So we're gonna break it down. First up, let's talk Endgame's timeline. Many fans, including staffers in our office, have been debating how the time travel works in Endgame. Were there time loops? Was it alternate realities? But Joe put the debate to rest. Nope, not a time loop. Both the Ancient One and Hulk were right. You can't change the future by simply going back to the past, but it's possible to create a different alternate future. Russo continued, it's not butterfly effect. Every decision you made in the past could potentially create a new timeline. For example, the old Cap at the end of the movie, he lived his married life in a different universe from the main one. He had to make another jump back to the main universe at the end to give the shield to Sam. Speaking of Captain America's fate, many folks were wondering just how exactly Steve gets his normal life back with Peggy. Did he come back to our time and just grow old there, seemingly ignoring the events of the MCU as we know them? For example, letting Hydra grow inside of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Or did Steve split off into a different timeline to be with his love? Joe Russo confirmed this was also a different reality. He chose to go back to the past and live with the one he loved for the rest of his life. The time travel in this movie created an alternate reality. He lived a completely different life in that world. We don't know how exactly his life turned out, but I'd like to believe he still helped many others when they were needed in that world. And that totally makes sense, and we might even get to see how some of this played out. When pressed about what year this marriage took place, Joe played coy by saying, "We can't answer it for now. This is a story that happened in an alternate reality. Maybe it will be revealed in the future." We do know that Disney Plus is working on a What If series. Just saying. But what about that other big elephant in Cap's life, aka Red Skull? With Steve returning the Infinity Stones, many were curious about what happened with Red Skull when Cap goes to return the Soul Stone. Would they recognize each other? Would Cap be able to undo Natasha's death? Luckily, Joe Russo had some insight on that too. Cap and Red Skull probably won't fight. It's because it's his mission to return the stone to its original place. The Red Skull is also no longer the same Red Skull from First Avenger. He is more like a ghost. You could almost say he's a completely different entity now. He only exists to guard the stone. His past consciousness may or may not exist anymore. Russo also said that Nat's death is permanent. No, the process is irreversible. Even if you have returned it to its original location, you wouldn't be able to get the person back. Guess that confirms that the Black Widow solo film will be a prequel. As for the living, when Hulk snapped everyone back into existence, those who had been snapped by Thanos returned just as they were 5 years ago. But the survivors of the first snap have been aged 5 years, like we saw with Ant-Man's daughter, Cassie Lang. The biggest question is, how will that dynamic play out with the snapped and unsnapped, specifically in the upcoming Spider-Man Far From Home? Russo explained, yes, those people who were lucky to survive the snap are 5 years older than the people who just got back. The reason Spider-Man saw his friend again in high school at the end was simply because his friend was unfortunately also dusted like Spider-Man was. Of course, there are people in his grade who didn't die, and they're probably already in colleges by now. He even elaborates a bit on the difference between the snapped and survivors, saying, to those dusted people, they had no consciousness in these past 5 years. They didn't know what happened. It's as if they had just woken up from a long sleep. The only one who was aware about how many years has passed was Doctor Strange, because he has already seen that when he was time meditating on Titan. There are also people who indeed moved on, but suddenly were reunited with their lost ones. Yeah, it's kind of a complicated world now. You think, Joe? And finally, on a lighter note, Joe Russo gave a shout out to the real hero of Avengers Endgame, the mouse/rat who brought Ant-Man back from the quantum realm. Yes, the mouse saved the universe. Among the many realities in those 14 million possible futures Doctor Strange foresaw, the mouse failed to press the button, and thus the heroes failed in those futures. So there you have it. The typically reserved and withholding Joe Russo spilled the beans on just about all of our unanswered Endgame questions. We're projecting to get more answers with the film's home release, where hopefully we will find out why Pepper Potts was researching so much on composting. We suppose you gotta do something with all that dust.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go, sir, please.
But what do you folks think? Did Joe Russo answer your questions? What else are you still wondering about Avengers Endgame? And which would you rather see? A 50s set family sitcom about Peggy and Steve's alt-reality domestic bliss, or a real-world style reality show that's a house comprised of half people who survived the snap and aged 5 years and half people who were originally snapped? Ooh, the drama. Let's discuss. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and mash that little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video or go live with a show. And if you're still recovering from this pop culture frenzy and nursing your hangover from Game of Thrones and Avengers Endgame, might we suggest Hair of the Dog? We've got breakdowns, reactions, and analysis galore, so check them out right here on Nerdist YouTube.